To be here today again. And I think this was a year ago. Was it last year? And Darlene asked me to come back again. And I was honored that she asked me to do this twice. Now, when she do this next year, I'm coming back, but I'm coming back as a guest.
Amen.
I'm gonna sit down and get fed. Okay, so get your speaker ready for next year because it won't be me. But it's just so awesome. I was just, sitting there looking around. This room is beautiful. The vendors, everything is set up so beautiful. The food was good. I looked at the program. Everything has been done in a spirit of excellence.
Yes. Amen.
And those who are not here do not know that they're missing.
That's right.
But it's okay. It's okay. We're not concerned about numbers.
That's right.
Okay, God don't care about that. God care about one.
Amen.
Okay? And the ones are here. Okay, and God has something for someone today. I'm the vessel that He's using for that. And so just strap in.
Amen.
Because we're getting ready to go.
Amen.
Okay?
Amen.
So I just like to start out with a little personal testimony. And when I was just really praying about all of this, signs and wonders, and I do deliverance ministry. And when you're in that mode, signs and wonders do come. Sometimes they are welcoming. Sometimes they're challenging. Sometimes they are abusive. And so I was like, okay, so how can I keep this, on the ground and where we're not up here? And I said, someone might be here. If I get too deep, they may run out of here, because, we all kinds of things can manifest. But, I was like, you know what? Okay, God. And I think I shared in our prayer time, I had prepared something else. And so bear with me, because I'm really just a vessel. I'm not real sure what God's getting ready to do. He's just totally took away what I had typed up all nice and pretty. So now I have some scrabble notes. Okay. So we're going to go with that. But I just want to share a personal testimony. My husband and I traveled. We got the invitation and the honor to travel to South Africa. And when that first came up, I was like, South Africa? I'm like, that's a long way. Now, even though I fly a lot, flying is not one of my favorite things to do, okay? I guess it's a control issue that I have. I have no control. And so I was thinking about that. I said, now that's a long flight. Now, we had two options. One option, I think, was to fly 8 hours to France and then, get another flight, or Amsterdam or whatever, and then get another flight to Johannesburg, another 8 hours. Or I found a flight, one flight a day that Delta does from Atlanta, nonstop to Johannesburg. That is a 17-hour flight. So I was like, okay, Lord, 17 hours non-stop. So I got a little nervous about that. So I said, well, I'm going to need some medication for that flight. Because, when I get up there, I might just get paranoid and just totally freak out after a while, get, feel it all. But everything went well, but there was an attack on my body going on during those 17 hours that we were up in the air. And it was gradual, but by the time we got to Johannesburg, then we had another flight that was 1 hour and 45 minutes to Cape Town. So by the time we got to Johannesburg, I was completely non-functional.
Mm.
So let me explain to you what happened, aside from it just being an attack. But, and I know that it was a setup, it was all, God had some plans for me in South Africa. I am a diabetic, and I have an insulin pump. And my pump malfunctioned, but I didn't know that because I had never had an issue. All I knew is that my blood glucose levels continued to rise, no matter what I did, okay? No matter how I adjusted my insulin intake, no matter what, it just kept getting high. By the time 17 hours, that meant that I had not gotten any insulin for 17 hours.
Wow.
Okay. And by the time we got to Johannesburg, I was totally, I don't even remember even getting off the plane. I don't remember waiting on the next flight. I don't even remember being on the next flight. But by the time we got to Cape Town, I was in a chronic state of ketoacidosis, if you know what that is. And that's when the body starts to turn against itself. And my systems were shutting down, okay? Immediately, our host took me to the emergency room. And I ended up in ICU for 4 days. I flew all this way. And I'm like, okay. Now, at one point, I'm just, I'm setting y'all up for something because God still is in the business of doing miracles.
Amen.
And God does use you and you and you and you as his vessel to perform miracles. So I'm in ICU. Now, there was a conference going on at the same time for endocrinologists or whatever, and the most famous, well-respected, well-known endocrinologist in South Africa was in town at the conference at the hospital that I was in. So they went and got him, or they called him. I was dying. I mean, they just didn't know what to do. But just think about that. And he was from Johannesburg. I'm from the United States. And we're both in Cape Town, South Africa. And I'm in ICU. Along the way there, my heart stopped beating. Everything just, that was it. I mean, I flatlined. And that was that, but they were able to bring me back, and thank God for that. But I went on a little spiritual journey in those seconds, minutes, however long it was. I don't know how long it was, but I died. So he was there to treat me. He assigned a nurse by my bedside. 24 hours never to leave, because I was in a situation where things could go real bad real fast. So we couldn't wait to find somebody to come and see about me. She sat there all night. Fast forward a little bit, when we got back home, I was talking with a friend, and they were missionaries, and they were in Uganda helping to build a little market or whatever. And she became ill while there. And her husband said, well, just lay down. It could be the trip. It could be this. It could be, if you're not feeling better, tomorrow we'll get a truck and take you into town. Unlike me, I was in a major city. They were in a rural area. And so she and I was just sharing about our trip. And I went on to tell her my story. And she started crying on the phone. And I was like, what's going on? Are you okay? And she said, when was this? So I told her, approximately when it was, what the date, time, or whatever. And she said that she was very sick. She was laying in her bed, and she turned over, and I was standing there. and I had a word for her from the Lord. So in those seconds or whatever that they were trying to bring me back, God gave me an assignment.
Wow. Yes.
And I told her to stop taking, this is what she told me, stop taking that medication she was taking. She was having a bad reaction, that God had not brought her that far for her not to complete her assignment. But she just needed to reevaluate some things. But again, God used that adversity that I was in, okay, and to save her
Oh, yes.
for His glory.
Fine.
And after 4 days in ICU, I got up and I said, I'm ready to go. I was never in a regular room. I went from ICU to the pulpit.
Wow.
The same day. Same day.
Okay, Father.
And our host was like, well, you need to rest. You can't, you know, I'm like, no. I got to go. And I got to go today.
Amen.
Now, I may not be as strong. I may have to sit down, but I'm going. But I'm going. And I just cannot tell you all the messages I had written for each situation, conference, women's that at church. I didn't use any of that. I just got up, got the mic, and let God show out. Okay? And He blessed the people. I was just the vessel. There was a lady at one of the churches. She was about 90 years old, and she was an elder. And she came up to me after I had ministered one of those nights, and she said to me, I have given my life and worshiped the Lord since I was a little girl, and now I'm 90 years old. And she said, I have seen many things. I have seen miracles. I have seen demons. I have seen it all. But I saw something tonight that I knew about, that I heard about, but I had never seen. And she said, every step you took, fire came from under your feet. She said, I saw it. She said, I don't know if anybody else saw it, but I saw the all-consuming fire of the Lord. It does exist. Miracles do exist.
Amen.
And I have no idea what the fruit of that was, because everywhere I spoke, people were slain in the spirit by what God had for them. So miracles are still happening. God can use each and every one of you to perform miracles and signs and wonders if you believe it.
Amen.
See, can't nobody tell me now that I can't perform miracles.
Amen.
Through God that empowers me to do that. So I was thinking about, I was doing some reading, and I was thinking about, you know, before that trip, God and I had these conversations going on, and God was asking me these questions. And you know, God does ask us questions, even though He knows the answers, but He does. I found out in the Bible, God asked 307 questions throughout the Bible to different people. A lot of questions. So I picked out 7 since Darlene sent us information on 7, the number 7. This is the 7th month. God did a lot of things in 7s. So I went with 7 questions that God asked this morning. The first one was, where are you? Now God was asked that question of Adam and Eve because they had sinned and they were ashamed and they were out of fellowship with the Lord, And God was looking for them, to fellowship with them, and they went and hid. Such as us, very often shame makes us hide from God. We hide from God. And God is walking around and saying, well, where are you? Where are you? Is God asking any of you, where are you? Why are you hiding from me? What shame? There could be no shame that could keep me from you. Where are you? The next one was, where is your brother, Cain? A lot of times God will ask us about others, and we respond, am I my brother's keeper? Am I responsible for them, or him, or her? Yes, you are. You are. That is relationship. We serve a relationship God. And so God will ask you, where's your brother? Where's your sister? Where's your friend? And your response is, I don't know. I'm not their keeper. Well, you are. That is about relationship. The third one God led me to is Jacob. What is your name? What is your name? I ask each of you, what is your name? I'm not talking about your worldly birth name. I'm talking about the name that God has given you. Is that minister? Is that server? Is that encourager? Is that friend? What is your name? When God thinks about you, what does he call you? What is your name? And that is something that you should think about on your own. What is my name? Because in biblical times, when people were born and they were given a name, they were given a name that had reference to something. Okay? It was either something their parents did or something that they did or looked like or acted like, but there was a reference, there was a reason behind that name. And God has given each of you a name. But we don't know it sometimes. We're too busy with that other name. Yes, I'm Joanne. That's what they call me. But no, I'm so much more than Joanne. So, all right. The next one I had is, I love this one. God says, what are you doing here, Elijah? What are you doing here? And God may have asked you, what are you doing there? And a lot of times with Elijah, he was up in the cave. He was all depressed. That's what he was doing. He was just done with the people. He was just done with everything. He was just up in the cave by himself, depressed. Depression is a very major spirit that many of us deal with for a lot of reasons. And God is saying to you, why are you here? What are you doing there? So, getting down to my main one here. He asked the man at the healing water, do you want to be healed? A lot of times we say, oh, I want this, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to be more healthy. I'm going to get out of that relationship, or I'm going to get out of that friendship. I'm going to change my life. It's January 1st. I'm going to make a reunion and all of that. But God is saying, do you want to be healed? Stop making excuses and do something about it. All this man had to do was roll over into the water.
Amen. Amen.
That's all he had to do. And he was just laying there year after year. Woe is me. Excuses. Stop making excuses and do something about it. Make a decision. Forget about when I feel like it, because you're never going to feel like it. But we have to make a decision. Do something about whatever it is. And God is asking you, do you want to be healed? Stop wasting my time. And the time. Lay hands on me, Minister Joey. Pray for me, Minister Joey. Pray with me, Minister Joey. Oh, Minister Joey, can I have a little counsel time with you? Well, yeah. But what have you done since the last time we got together? What have you done? So, do you want to be healed? The woman at the cave entrance after Christ was crucified, and the angel came to her and says, why are you crying? That was actually the Lord saying, why are you crying? Sometimes we are still crying, we are still worried, we are still moaning and groaning, and we're still just so emotional, and the answer is standing right there in our face. But we are in such a state of self-pity that we don't even see what's standing right in our face. Why are you crying? Why? Stop crying. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. And look at what's standing in front of you. And I think that's 6. Is that 6?
Yes.
Okay. And this is my last one. In Exodus, it's actually Exodus 4. And in your free time, you can read that. Moses is at the burning bush and he's having a conversation with the Lord. And the Lord is saying to Moses, I see the suffering that my people are going through, and I've just had enough of it. So I want you to go to Pharaoh and tell Pharaoh, let my people go. And Moses, I could just kind of see him, because I can see my own self, where he's like, what? You want me to go to Pharaoh and say, thus saith the Lord, let my people go. Moses said, I love you, Lord. I worship you, I honor you, but I don't know if I can go to Pharaoh. So, have you ever been given an assignment or asked to do something where you said, no, I don't know if I could do that. I'm not equipped for that. I don't have the education for that. I don't have the gift for that. I don't have the nerves for that. So God had Moses go through some things. We know he took the staff and it became a snake. And, Moses knew all about snakes because he was a shepherd out in the desert. He dealt with snakes all the time. Okay? And so they're having this dialogue. I mean, you know the story. But everything that God showed Moses, he had an excuse why he couldn't go. And when all else failed, he said, well, I don't speak well. And God said, well, who made your mouth? And I'm going to give you someone that will speak for you. And Aaron. So he's like, I'm going to give you the words, and then you give the words to Aaron, and Aaron will give the words to the people. But God always has a solution. God always have a helpmate for you when he gives you an assignment. He's not going to send you out there by yourself. And so now when I'm faced with something that I'm like, I don't know, Lord. Now it's like, okay, Lord, I'm going to get ready, and I'm just waiting for my help to come through the door. Because it's coming. But the question that God asked Moses, and that I am going to ask each of you, what is in your hand?
My Lord. Oh, Jesus.
Moses, what is in your hand? And Moses, well, a stick, a staff, a rod, depending on which way you're reading it. But that stick, that staff, that rod was the most important thing that Moses had. It protected him when he was out there against wild animals and snakes. It helped him to stand and walk when he got tired. It helped him to grab the sheep that was getting loose and brought him back. It was important to him. It was the most important thing to him. But it became something of miracles once God put his hands on it. So I ask you, ladies, what is in your hand? Everything you need to perform miracles, you already have. But you've got to have faith in it. And you've got to know what it is. And it might be, I mean, it's just all kinds of things, but we don't look at it as miracles. We look at someone who has the most beautiful garden in the neighborhood. Everybody else's stuff is dying, and theirs is just blooming like crazy. That's a miracle. Because the world says, you can't grow that. That's not going to grow here. It does. You may be an artist. You may be a person that God has gifted a voice to. You use that voice to perform miracles. Because when you sing, it touches the heart of people. And it can calm a situation that's explosive. It can help a person change their mind about something that they were thinking. Your voice performed a miracle. Your teaching, people wait to get an explanation. You don't even think about it. It comes natural. And when it's natural, that's your miracle. It's already there. You just got to use it and believe the power of it. So when you're teaching young kids, you probably have a student that just can't wait to get to you because of what you're going to speak into their lives. Because of the miracle that's inside of you that God uses you to bless. Could be dance. Your feet is what's in your hands. You give God glory every time you move. It's a miracle every time you dance. You are performing a miracle. And who knows? I don't know your life or anything, but it's in my spirit that no one thought you would ever dance. Okay? Ever. No one thought I would be standing up here doing this. Because in my younger days, I was hot as hot. But they say God uses, the least likely. And I was like, are you sure? Me? Yeah, they didn't call me Lil Red for nothing. And I look back on that. But that was my miracle. That personality, even though I used it at the time in the world, was the miracle that was inside of me, the fire that was inside of me that God was going to use. I just had to make a decision on how and when I was going to use it for the glory of God. So you all have something, and the best way I can tell you is it's that thing that comes natural. Yeah, you may have to perfect it. You may have to get some training, some lessons or something like that, but it's there already. So you think about that. You decide what is in your hand. What's in your hand that God can use to be glorified, and how he can use you to bless others. So if I just became just so aggressive here today, a couple of you, and I would ask you, what's your name? Davina. I love that's pretty. What's your name? It's okay. Because you know what? Most people cannot answer that question. Why? Because number one, you never thought about it. Number two, you thought about it, but you don't have enough faith about it. And number three, sometimes we feel we're not worthy to perform miracles. Think about the people in the Bible. He used the worst of the worst. And I'm first. Okay? So it doesn't matter. You are worthy. And you have something in your hand. So that's where we're kind of going to go as I start to end my message a little bit, is for you to pray about what is in your hand. Do you have a gift of healing? Do you have a gift of encouraging? Or are you maybe right now struggling with some personal things, whether it's health, whether it's a relationship? And you may want to pray about that. Well, okay, God, what is it that's going on in my life that's keeping my hands closed? And normally I would have laid hands on all of you, prayed with all of you one-on-one, but I'm going to be respectful of, the challenges that we're going through. And that's why I gave each of you a little thing of oil that I have prayed over and fasted before and all of that. So I'm going to give you a couple of instructions on what we're going to do now. Okay? And I'll tell you when to start. Vanessa, can I get that chair?
Sure.
Or get someone to help me with that? You got my batch. And just bring it right here. Okay. And do you have my little bucket? Just give us a second to get set up. In the meantime, be thinking about it. So, God gives us our assignments at different times and in different ways, and he uses us for his glory at different times in different ways. And sometimes it's a process. Some of us it happens quick. Some of us it happens over a period of time. Some of us we gotta struggle to get it. Some of us gotta fight to get it. But God is not a man that he makes a mistake. And he never changes his mind, even though you may change your mind. But God doesn't change his mind. So kind of this is where we're gonna go with this.